The following is the story of the Kellogg's Corner School. Just one of thousands which dotted the landscape across America in the 1800s and the early 1900s. It is one of 23 one-room schoolhouses which could be seen across the hills and valleys in the town of Newfield. We are able to tell this story because a number of people in Newfield cared enough to repair and restore the school building for future generations. Here to tell you its history is Alan Chafee, Newfield Town historian.
(1840 to 1939) are the dates inscribed on the sign above the door of the Kellogg's Corner Schoolhouse. Research has shown that 1840 was the date that the land was deeded to the school district from John and Anna Abbott. As early as 1831, a school existed, which according to several Newfielders was on the opposite side of the road from where the Kellogg's Corner School finally stood on Vankirk Road. This building was in need of repair, and the school minutes tell us that it was voted to let Reuben Strong repair the schoolhouse as he wishes for $1.25. Solomon Kellogg, for whom the Corners was named, was one of the trustees. A new school was built in the summer of 1841 and was used until 1881, when it was voted that it be torn down and another schoolhouse built. 6 years later, in 1887, the schoolhouse which exists today was finished to serve the district for the next 52 years. Many Newfielders can recall happy hours and simpler days spent in this little one-room school and others like it. 21 in all existed in Newfield in 1870. Centralization came to Newfield in 1939, and this school was closed shortly thereafter. That year, the Kellogg's Corners Arts and Crafts Club bought the building for $1. At that time, the club was a home bureau unit of Cornell Cooperative Extension. In later years, the club met for dish-to-pass suppers with the intention of keeping the schoolhouse in repair, and the building has been preserved down through the years with blackboards intact and many of the desks remaining. The school was used once again during the bicentennial in the spring of 1976, when Newfield students and teachers spent a day at Kellogg's Corners in honor of America's 200th birthday.
We're talking today with former students who attended Kellogg's Corner School in the 1930s. On our left is Liam Payne, and next to him is his brother Ralph Payne, and next to him is Claire Neal Van Kirk Creighton, and then her brother Jack Van Kirk. Now let's begin with Liam. Did you and your brother Ralph attend Kellogg's Corner School at the same time?
No, we did not.
And how many grades was Ralph ahead of you?
Oh, we're quite a ways ahead of me.
Quite a ways ahead of you. Can you tell us where things were when you were going to school here? Describe where the stove was and anything else.
I thought the stove was right out right here.
Yeah.
That was a newer one, so maybe, I don't know, maybe. I don't remember one back here though.
Yeah. 'Cause I remember old Cassius in there working, getting the fire started. Most of the time you got there about an hour and a half.
Who was that, Liam?
Cassius Irby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, we have the flag on the wall now. Where was the flag when you went to
Outdoors.
school?
We had a flagpole outdoors right out there
You did, yeah.
to the southwest of the school.
Okay. Ralph, what stands out in your memory when you went to school here?
Well, I got in trouble once or twice.
I don't think you were the only one. But
we all did.
what did you do?
Huh?
What did you do?
I don't want to tell you.
Well, the only thing I can remember, I put a teacher out of the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was it?
I can't remember her name,
Oh.
but she come back with this ruler about this far long with a metal edge into it. Lay your hand down on this table. I said, what have I done? I didn't know what I'd done. Somebody'd haul off and hit me on the back of the head, but I didn't know who it was. And I won't say her name, but she whacked me a good hard blow. And I couldn't imagine, she said, in the back of it, see. I hadn't done nothing. I sat there reading a history book. I laid the history book down, I put my hands very carefully on the desk, and she come down with that, and boom!
So you broke it?
I broke it right in two.
Oh.
She said, boy, you're strong. Well, so, I was a farm boy.
Said that you and Ralph used to write notes back and forth?
Yes, I wrote to Ralph because I had a crush on him. And I put my note right here by the pencil holder on my desk, and he would walk out to the bathroom and take the note. And one day Carl Stanley took it. That was the end of the notes.
The teacher got fired?
I don't even remember.
I don't remember the bathroom.
Well, thanks a lot, Ralph. So two other things that I remember distinctly. One summer we built a swimming pool down the creek down here. And we all went swimming. And we came in the afternoon, and I put my head down to the desk to read or write, and something fell out of my hair, and I thought it was lice. So I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to go right home. There's something in my hair. So I ran home, left school and ran home, and my mother looked in my hair and she said, it's full of sand. And the other thing that I remember distinctly, we used to play ball over here in Dave Dasson's cow pasture. And one day, I was the last one through the fence. And so I was asked to go and get the ball. So I didn't throw it right straight to the owner of the ball. And when I got in the road, I threw it to him, and he didn't like that, so he threw it back, and it hit me right in the left side and caused an abscess in my stomach, and I had to go to the hospital. And I've never found out whatever happened to it.
I remember the piano set right there where that glass case is, tight to the wall, and being as how we had 2 or 3 of them in our house at one time, somebody would move and they want to park in our house, so they moved till they got room in their house. Anyway, I sat down there one day, coming away, and Christine Shafee and I think Eleanor Lunica got their hands hooked like this and going around in a circle. And I had enough of the piano, so I turned around and went to get up, and one of them come around and hit me right over the eye here, and knocked me right cold. And the teacher gave me a tissue or something for it and sent me home. So I went down to Doc Siles and they sewed it up. And I had quite a time with that. And then one other night I went to a party in front of the school where this one sits right now. And we square danced to the records, and we went out to the kitchen to have a glass of water. And I had watched these, when John Wayne was young, I'd watch him drink a shot of whiskey. So I took this glass of water, a little bigger than a shot, and I put the whole thing down in it. I passed right out and fell over and hit the corner of the cabinet right there with this eye. So that's why I got 2 different colored eyebrows.
I can't remember just what grade it was, but I think my favorite teacher was Myrtle Weiler.
Oh, you're not in your head, Jack.
She
You
was
must
from
like
the
it.
Hartford.
She was an awfully nice person.
She used to stop and see us.
Oh, she did?
But I remember one time when Rosina Beach was up here teaching, and something happened. I decided I would go to Newfield School, so I closed my book and walked out and walked to Newfield High School.
All the way from Vagrant Road.
Yeah,
Over to
from my
Down the other
dad's
way.
house down there to down through the covered bridge and over to the back street
And did you go to the school?
to the old school.
Oh, my goodness.
And one time, Mr. Mackey was the school bus driver with his car. And he, at that time, could carry high school kids. And one day, my sister was ill, so I took her place on the school bus, on his car, in his car. And someone paddled, and he was informed that if he picked up a grade school student, from then on, he wouldn't have his job as a school bus driver. They had to be high school students.
Now, did you all walk to school?
And we walked here to school from my house down there.
There's a mile about a mile across the road, but a mile and a half if you go around the road. So we cut crossings.
And you both walk to school too, from Vancouver Road?
Yeah, right up Van Kirk
Yeah.
Road from
They-
clear down there where those tall trees are, the Van Kirk place.
Right. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, the only thing I can remember when she brought it up, we played ball over in the pasture field. And we were playing tag one day around this, and it was just spring year, you know. And I slipped in the mud there or something. I landed on a stump, took the knee cap right off.
Oh, boy.
And we had family doctor, I guess. So my dad took me over there and he sewed it up. I can show you.
That was Dr. Ward.
Yeah,
Dr.
Ward.
Ward.
Oh, my goodness.
He used to come clear from Odessa to our house to take care of my sister Ann Ostrander. I was 8 years old and she was 1. She had a pneumonia when
Oh,
was
she
1.
did? Oh.
You
Well-
don't know doctor.
Yeah.
People come from all over. I slept till 2 o'clock one morning just to see him.
Yep.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
He would wait on the last patient, and then he would have a cup of coffee and read a chapter in a book before he went to sleep.
Well, I wish we had more time. We probably could talk for hours, but I really want to thank you for coming. Some of you came quite a ways, and I really appreciate it. We all do.
I came away the crow flies.
Yeah, I know.
I'm Florence Emery, and I'm going to tell you a story about Margaret Van Riper. In the 1991 Newfield Old Home Day booklet, Margaret tells her story. I received $25 a week and was very happy to get it. I lived on Schaefer Road where the Little Tree Farm is now. We had an opening program every morning. Sing a song, a passage read from the Bible, repeat the Lord's Prayer, salute the flag, and sing another song. Violet Mackey was the janitor to build the fire and sweep the floor. There was no electricity, no kerosene lamps, no playground equipment. If a meeting was held at night, people would bring their lanterns and hang them on the wall. The first week of school, when it was time to go home, Earl Payne jumped out of the window instead of walking to the door. At that time, an unruly child would be punished by the teacher. I thought he was too large and that I might not be successful in trying. The next morning when he came, I just talked to him while I was tapping him on the shoulder. He never did it again. Several years later, he reminded me of it. We discussed it. I asked him why he didn't do it again. He said, because I talked to him. Robert Hine and Bertha Mackey Russell were not old enough to attend school, but would visit once in a while. Ralph Payne was on the borderline. He came when he wanted to. Every fall, school was closed for a week, so the children could help their parents harvest potatoes, which seemed to be the main crop. Imagine drinking water from a common cup or dipper. One of the older children would get a pail of water from a spring beside the road and empty the water into a cooler jug standing in the corner. What would health authorities say today? The desks were fastened to the floor. They were called graduated desks. A large one was in the back with smaller ones in the front. It was not very comfortable if their feet did not touch the floor. A block of wood was put under their feet. One day when I opened the teacher's desk, someone had put a dead mouse in it. I picked it up by the tail and threw it into the stove. The children were so surprised, for they expected the teacher screaming and jumping up and down. At Halloween time, we would have a party at school. At Christmas time, we would have a program and exchange gifts. The last day of school in June, we would have a picnic under the large tree in front. Some of the people would go wading in the creek, and a good time was had by all.
I'm Mary Beth Gehring, and I served on the committee which worked to move the Kelloggs Corners School from its location on Van Kirk Road to the Newfield Central School grounds. Sometime after the Newfield school children spent a day at the Kelloggs Corners School during the bicentennial in 1976, Plans were made to continue this type of activity and to move the school from its site on Van Kirk Road in Newfield to the Newfield Central School grounds. Our first project was to gather bids for the move. Then we began the task of raising money to pay for the move. Our first event was an open house held in November at which we raised over $100 and experienced what a one-room schoolhouse heated by a wood stove was like on a chilly winter day. Additional donations were received from the Newfield Lions, Masons, Eastern Star, Tioga State Bank, school organizations, town board, and Howard Nye Scholarship Fund. We sold t-shirts, held a 50-50 raffle, and 2 spaghetti dinners. Individuals who had been students or who had fond memories of one-room schoolhouses sent donations. As of June 1st, 1993, our committee had raised $11,900. By the spring of 1992, we had enough money in the bank to move the schoolhouse. The town highway crew helped direct traffic. Crews from NYSEG, New York Telephone, and American Community Cablevision were on hand to help with the overhead wires. The building came off the foundation on Van Kirk Road about 9 o'clock a.m. and arrived on the school grounds in time for lunch break. There were several tense moments as the building inched under high voltage lines. Many community members and businesses have donated goods and services. The Kelloggs Corners School Committee are grateful for all this generous help. Here to bring you up to date on the progress of the Kelloggs Corners Schoolhouse is Newfield Central School Superintendent William J. Hurley.
The most overlooked treasure of the Newfield School District can be found in the most prominent spot on campus. Schoolhouse number 18, better known as the Kelloggs Corners Schoolhouse, sits front and center on our school grounds, greeting each and every visitor as they enter our main parking lot. As with so many things that folks see every day, you might pass by without a second glance. Constructed in 1887, it is a visible link to Newfield's past. Over the past 2 years, the Schoolhouse Committee, made up of Kathy Shippos, Robin Anderson, Barbara Westerveld, Ed Pacula, myself, and championed by Florence Emery, has been added again, raising money for building materials by writing grants and imposing on the good natures of a number of local residents to renovate the structure. Kermit and George Cutter volunteered to redeck and shingle the roof. The Newfield Teachers Association stayed after school one day to put a fresh coat of paint on it. Broken shutters were replaced and remounted by Ed Pacula. Broken windows were also repaired. A group of community gardeners led by Paul Smith developed a landscaping plan and have spent many weekends mulching, planting, and weeding all around the structure. Tim Schultz of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 241, and Ken Shippos rewired the building and installed a new electrical service. George Carson covered the walls and ceiling with sheetrock and finished the interior to look much as it did long ago, when it first opened for use as one of Newfield's schools. In preparation for this finishing work, all the old furniture and artifacts had to be moved from the basement and safely stored with John Armstrong in his well-used basement, and Jack Balcom in his screw hauled the rest away. Since 2004, the schoolhouse has made its way back into the day-to-day life of the school and community. Teachers, students, choralers, and their families now gather for an annual Christmas Song Fest. Elementary students have the opportunity to experience a full-day immersion into the past through a day-long, in-period costume school day. And the greater Newfield community now has the opportunity to tour the facility through an open house during the Community Old Home Day Festival.
I have been preparing for several years for this day when I would be able to bring the students here and spend the day with them. In preparing to teach, I had the help of a former teacher at Newfield, Rosemary Sondergeld, who moved to Oklahoma and used a curriculum for a one-room schoolhouse and shared it with me. It also included ideas for games and how to organize the class. To prepare for our first day here at Newfield, I spoke with our elementary principal, Vicki Vopaselli, to make arrangements. We set a date, and then I asked the elementary teachers to choose one student from each class, grades 1 through 5. The elementary office sent out a letter to parents asking permission for their child to attend Kellogg's Corner School. Then I met with the students and told them what they could expect. We talked about how they would dress and that they would bring a basket or pail for lunch and what type of food to bring. I told them that we'd be going back to the main school around noon to use the bathrooms and then come back here for lunch, and I gave them a poem to learn. Our day begins with opening exercises, saying the pledge, singing of America. I told them that in days gone by we would say a prayer, but now we were not allowed to do so. We next had reading and writing. For instance, the first and second graders would read while the rest were writing, and then we had arithmetic. We did a lot of talking. The children were curious about what life was like in a one-room schoolhouse. In the afternoon we had geography, and one of the things the children liked best, a spelling bee. We all enjoyed everything so much we almost forgot to go back to school to catch the 2 o'clock bus home.
My name is Kathy Schippos, and I'm secretary of the Kellogg's Corner Schoolhouse Committee.
175 years have come and gone since children first passed through the doors of the Kellogg's Corner School. There they shared laughter and tears, friendship and learning, recess, spelling bees, all the things that made up a day in a one-room school. We're so grateful to all the members of our community who cared enough to preserve this school and make it a place for our children to learn what it was like more than a century ago. To all of the people in the Newfield community and some from far away who gave of their finances and their time, we dedicate this film.